ideal takeoff position. Once the horse gets there, though, it's up to the horse to physically jump the jump. It's really two athletes competing in partnership.
Just under pace a little bit, isn't she? Come on.
That's Frank Chapeau, the coach, worried about her pace. And here's the difficult combination. Oof. Remember, Katie Monahan had the problem, so Catherine Birdsall must have a good ride for the United States. And so far, so good.
This so far is the most perfect ride of the day. Here we have the double liberals coming up.
Safe. Safe again.
4 more jumps.
A quick turn around the lake here in Aachen, West Germany.
I'm not really sure she's concerned about how beautiful that pond is at this point in time.
Well, Mr. Natural didn't notice it either.
Right.
But there is water forthcoming.
She's got a small lake right now.
Safe, and one more jump and she's clean. Absolutely perfect for Catherine Birdsall, delivering in the clinch for the United States. A clean ride with a time of 109.07. Robert, let's watch a replay of the American team watching the finish.
Come on. Whoa.
A big hug for Catherine Birdsall from the owner, Paul Greenwood. A clean ride for Catherine. Earlier, Robert explained why such rides are so difficult to accomplish.
To give you an idea of the difficulty of these jumps, I'm standing in the middle of just one of 17 jumps on the course today. Now, to put it in perspective, I'm 6 foot tall, and I can barely reach the inside width. Forget the fact that this is the second part of a double combination. By itself, this is a very big jump. Make the slightest mistake on approach, and the jump will get you here or here. Make a mistake big time, and you're in deep trouble.
I'm glad they asked you to do that and not me. Here's Michael Whitaker from Great Britain. 6.67 first round, 8 faults in the second round. 26 years of age. His brother John also jumps for the Great Britain team. It has been raining on and off throughout the week here in Aachen.
The turf's been holding up pretty well, though. If it rains too much, I mean, they're jumping out of a foot of mud, and you can imagine, I mean, that makes the jumps just a foot higher.
This is Michael Whitaker over the wall. Anything more than 1.19 faults by Whitaker, and the Americans go back into the lead as a result of Catherine Birdsall's fine ride.
I mean, that means he cannot afford to have any jump down. Triple combination coming up.
Now he's rating the horse here. Ooh. Oh, there's a mistake. And the Americans have gone back into the lead because that is a minimum of 4 faults now for Michael Whitaker. And he's not through the course.
No, he's got 2 very tough parts still coming up. Horse is looking a little crazy coming down to these Liverpools.
Safely through both.
He really is having a tough time. That horse throwing his head around means that that horse doesn't like the idea of being rated back.
And now the turn toward home for Michael Whitaker of Great Britain.
Now here's one spot in the course where he doesn't want to rate him back. He wants to get a good head of steam coming to the water.
That's done. And the final jump is accomplished, but the one jump down results in 4 faults for Michael Whitaker, a time of 106.51. The Americans are back in the lead, followed by Great Britain with the French still in striking distance. We'll return to Aachen right after this.
It is an automotive advance whose time has come. The Mercedes-Benz Supplemental Restraint System, SRS. In a severe frontal impact, a driver's side airbag and emergency tensioning retractors in both front seatbelts supplement 3-point seatbelt restraint, all in a fraction of a second. SRS, only from Mercedes-Benz. And now standard equipment on every Mercedes-Benz for 1986.
You know, there's a certain elegance to a cup of Maxwell House instant coffee. Never needs ice cubes. It isn't fizzy, and you don't drink it out of a can. Of course, it's not the kind of thing that you gulp down with a cheeseburger. But then again, there's more to life than cheeseburgers.
Former world champion Milton McCrory takes on highly ranked middleweight Doug DeWitt. Plus, America's bid at the Tour de France continues on CBS Sports next.
The United States back on top. Earlier, Robert showed us the rider's job on the approach to a jump.
One of the biggest problems in riding jumpers is for a rider not to make a stride adjustment far enough back in order to end up at the ideal takeoff spot. Now, that requires incredible depth perception on the part of the rider and instant response on the part of the horse. Now, that ideal spot is about as far away from the jump as the jump is high. Any closer, and it's difficult or impossible for a horse to get its front legs out of the way of that top rail. So if horse and rider are still on the ground when they're here, they've got a real problem.
Here's your first look at one of the French riders, Michel Robert, riding Lafayette. The French still a factor in this team championship. In the first round, 9.44 faults and 4 faults in the second round.
And Michel is their best rider. He's had more experience than any of the other ones, and if any one of them can pull it off, it'll be him.
He needs to have a clean ride for the French to maintain a striking chance of winning this team championship.
Now, he got deep to that fence. That was too close. Now, the horse jumped it, but it wasn't an ideal ride on the rider's part.
The wall. We mentioned a British style. Robert, is there a French style of riding?
It's a very smooth style. You can see that he's not moving his hands around as much as the British riders, where it's a lot closer to the Americans.
Now the triple.
Ooh, that's not like the Americans.
Oh, that's 4 faults for Michel Robert. Do those jumps, when contact is made, hurt the horses at all?
Well, they feel it. They don't like it. It doesn't hurt them in the sense of injuring them, but they sure would rather clear them than hit them.
Let's see if he can clear this double coming up. No, he can't. What was his problem there?
Well, we were talking about the smooth style. You want to be as quiet as possible, but still effective. And he wasn't effective. What he didn't do was rate that horse back far enough so that he wasn't so close when he took off at the jump.
8 faults so far for Michel Robert, and the French chances may be disappearing with this ride. The water and the final jump coming. Couldn't get the final, and that's 12 faults in the course. The total faults 13.75 for Michel Robert. His time 116.68. Look back at what happened in that triple.
Well, here he's being a little too smooth with his legs. At that point, you really have to push the horse over that back rail, and he didn't quite do that enough.
Next up for the United States, Michael Matz. And Frank Chapeau, the coach, is talking with him.
Don't worry so much about the time, but, you know, because you were plenty of time last time.
Same pace was fine.
Same pace was good. Pace was good. Just,
Did I do anything to that wall this time?
I can't see where you can do
I
different.
felt like I rode it okay.
It looked like you got there good.
There's a widespread perception that the sport of horse jumping requires an aristocratic background. Michael Matz disagrees.
This sport does have a little bit of a stigma to it called like a sport of kings, but I don't think this is very true because I got started in this sport in a way that I worked as a groom, and I worked my way up from grooming horses to riding when I could ride a little bit of horses, and one thing I found out that I could ride as good as anybody else could.
Well, that really is true. A lot of us in 1976, when we were watching the Olympics, saw a lot of Princess Anne riding in the competition. And the assumption is that it does take royalty to do the riding. But that's not true at all.
I don't have to call you Prince.
No, you sure don't.
Michael Matz on board chef.
Okay, now you heard his comments just before he went in the ring. He's worried about the wall, which is coming up in 2 jumps. He had that down in the first round. as of many horses. That top block really comes off easily.
Here's the wall. Just nicked it, but it's perfect.
It's
no
still
falls.
there. Now, Frank Chapeau told him ride it the same as he did the first round. Michael didn't, and I think that was good because he was a little bit more careful.
Michael Matz for the American team, approaching the difficult triple combination. Well done.
Michael's had a lot of pressure on him. He's not only in a bad situation right now, he needs this clean round for the team, but psychologically he's been in a little bit of a downer. His father died 3 weeks ago, and he's having to throw that out of the back of his mind. And he's obviously doing that.
Michael Matz, 35 years of age, trying to get a clean ride for the American team in pursuit of their first ever team championship at the World Horse Jumping Championships. And he's not far from accomplishing that. One more. He got it, and his American teammates love the effort. Conrad Homefeld, Katie Monahan, Catherine Birdsall. For Michael Matz, a time penalty of .25, his time 1:10.06. And the team standings now have the Americans on top, followed by Great Britain with the team from France third. Back in a minute.
Tuesday. They're lean, mean, and ready for the summer heat.
And we're not talking tuna.
Like Simon and Simon, going overboard on a case that's one big... And on the best of Magnum, tally-ho, proof that he who laughs first may end up laughing his last.
Precisely.
Then, when you've had enough and you can't take any more...
They want me to go back to USSR.
He has to defect.
The one sure way out, the Equalizer. Tuesday.
This is CBS.
Mercedes-Benz was building sports sedans before there was such a term as sports sedan. Experience pays. The Mercedes-Benz 190 class. The heart of a sports sedan, the soul of a Mercedes-Benz, the 190 class. Something more than a sports sedan, nothing less than a Mercedes-Benz.
Remember the Kalinga quake? Are Palm Springs much closer to home? Only 6s on the Richter scale, but look at all the damage it did. If the big one struck here, would you be prepared? Few of us would. But you can be by sending a self-addressed stamped envelope with 39 cents worth of postage to Earthquake, 6121 Sunset, Los Angeles, 90028. Earthquake safety? Channel 2 wrote the book on it.
Up Front with Joan Collins, Saturday, 5:30.
The Americans are on the verge of clinching their first gold medal in the team championships at the World Horse Jumping Championships. Malcolm Pyra next up for Great Britain. If he knocks down one rail, the Americans will clinch the gold. He's the veteran of the British team. He's 45 years of age next month. Malcolm Pyra. In his first 2 rounds, 2.14 faults and then 4.5 faults, and he's aboard Towerland's Anglesark.
I'll tell you, Malcolm's been in this kind of a situation before. There is a lot of pressure. It's one sport where if you make a mistake, nothing you can do later on in the course can wipe that mistake away.
Are you conscious of that position while you're out there on the course?
Look, that block on the wall, it almost fell. If that falls anytime before he finishes the course, even if the wind blows it down right now, he's going to get 4 faults.
So far, it has not.
That's still there.
And here comes the triple. Yes. Yes again.
And you see, look at his hands. We're talking about style between him and the French rider. The French rider was very smooth, but it didn't work. Malcolm, he's really jerking on the reins and doing all these things, but they're all constructive adjustments.
He's not bothering the horse by doing it, but he's putting the horse in the right spot every time.
Thus far.